Welcome to the Pickup Korea podcast, and today I want to discuss frames, okay? So, a big problem I've been seeing recently in clients I coach and other gamers who are just starting out is that they tend to have a very, very weak frame, okay? And so, what are we talking about when we talk about frame? So, the frame is basically your presence, your self belief, and how you come off as sort of a leader in the interaction, right? And so, for example, after coaching a couple of recent guys, they would interact with these women. They would be very passive. Like even after talking to them, they would say, "Oh, she wouldn't let me do this," or "She won't let me do that," or "She went this way, so I just gave up." Right? And so it's a very like meek, weak, like I'm the victim of the interaction. I am the woman of, I'm the bitchy one in the interaction. I'm the victim of the interaction. And it's sort of like she's the man, or she's the CEO. I am the, whatever, the slave or the secretary who works for free, the intern or something like that, right? And so ultimately you want to come into these interactions with that CEO mindset. You're the boss. You're out there. You have the mindset of a boss, the behaviors, the voice, the body language, and ultimately you believe in yourself. However, when talking to the girls, you lead the interaction, but you're leading, but you're not necessarily dictating because you always give that person a chance to invest. And ultimately in human nature, it's up to them if they're going to follow you, if they're going to engage back in the interaction, etc. Right? And so one huge problem, like I mentioned, after working with a few recent clients, they'll be dating a girl and everything, and then they'll say, she won't let me. They have a girl at their house, and, maybe she spent the night or something, and the guy wants to go to the gym the next day. He wants to go game. He wants to do something else, whatever it be. And, she won't let me leave the house. She won't let me do this. So it's very clear who is at the cause, who is at the effect of the interaction. In other words, it is very clear who's wearing the pants, who's leading, who's the man, and who's the reactionary, right? And so there really is not going to be a successful, happy relationship if the woman is leading it. That's just the facts. Like anytime that a woman is leading it and the man is just reactionary and she won't let me do this, she won't let me do that, you're ultimately not going to be happy because you are sort of sacrificing your values. You're not being a man in his prime. You're not being an actual man. And you're just sort of either the term, people call that pussy whipped or just a weakling, a fag, or whatever you want to call it. And you're ultimately going to end up like resentful, right? So for example, a client I was talking about, she won't let me leave the house and go to the gym or won't let me go do this, right? And then ultimately you just grow to resent that girl. You grow to resent the other person when indeed it was your fault, right? So you could have easily said, listen, I've got to go. I have the gym personal training appointment at 1 p.m. We'll meet up, maybe later in the week or something. And she says no, then you just go anyways. You're acting on your life. It's your life. You're the CEO of your life. You don't let the secretary or the intern dictate the direction of the company, right? Or the actions of the CEO. So, that's just one example, right? Another example would be like, she wants me to text her 100 times a day and this and that and call her 50 times. I mean, to a degree, if you're in a relationship or you're gaming or you're meeting girls or have, multiple relationships, you are going to need to keep in touch with them, right? I mean, like any relationship with a friend, with a employee or what have you. However, it just goes back to the original point, which is that you're not going to let the employee, the intern, dictate, how often that you email them or something like that, right? And so that being said, of course, with Korean girls as opposed to Western girls, a very important cultural nuance is that they do generally contact or message more. They do generally call more and things along those lines. But that being said, it's up to you to set the frame early by expressing and communicating that you're a busy guy. You have multiple jobs, multiple pursuits. Maybe you do Muay Thai class every day, you do personal training, you're starting a business, you have you work at a company, you have, language courses. You're living a very, busy, thriving life that doesn't necessarily allow you to just sit on your phone all day and message and waste your life away, right? And so a lot of guys think that girls want a guy like that, where he doesn't have a fucking life, he doesn't go to the gym, doesn't meet friends, doesn't learn new shit, doesn't start new businesses. But in reality, it's not true, right? And ultimately, if you are that guy, you're not really going to have a happy, successful life. And on top of that, you are really falling into the frame that, the girl's going to end up like if you're texting her all the time, you're not doing shit with your life. She's going to expect you to nonstop text her. And then when you stop that, say now you're going to try to reel back the texting, you're going to text a little less, meet her a little less because you have other things to do, like like with any guy, new business endeavor. Maybe you're trying to game more, meet new girls, new people, or whatever it be, right? Whatever it is, travel to new places. Then she's gonna be shocked. Because you flipped the frame on her. You went from little bitch, little passive guy. Let her lead it. Let her tell you how much you text her. You set the precedent that you are that kind of guy, and then you flipped it. So it is incongruent. It is disingenuous, right? And so that's why it's very important early to set these frames, right? And then another one recently is like guys going on dates and really not leading the dates, like sort of letting the girl dictate all the conversational topics, and then also really not being like so there's a story. Okay, recently I was just reading this some old literature. There's the story of like the scorpion and the frog, right? And it's like the scorpion, the scorpion and the frog are together, and the frog wants to cross the river, and then the frog says, "Oh yeah, but you might bite me." And then the frog says, "Oh, you might bite me, scorpion." And the scorpion says, "No, I don't sting, I don't bite." It's okay. The frog says, "Okay, well, all right, I'll jump in the boat with you." So he jumps in the boat with the scorpion. Lo and behold, they're crossing the river. The scorpion stings the frog. And the frog says, "God damn it, why'd you do that?" And he goes, "It's in my nature. I'm a scorpion," right? And so a lot of guys, what I notice when it comes to frame, when it comes to masculinity, they will talk with girls on the street, or where have you, a cafe, a bar, and it's too friendly, it's too bland, it's too plain, and it's like they're trying to be overly friendly. They're trying to be overly fighting for rapport, overly like they're trying to hide their dick. They're trying to hide that they're a man. They're trying to hide their scorpion tail, so to speak, right? Which stings, right? And so it's like in the interaction when you're talking to her initially, you have to show her that scorpion tail. It can be in your eye contact, generating that sexual feeling in your body when you're talking to her. Maybe she has huge tits, big lips, and you're just excited. You're getting kind of hard. You're getting a boner, and you're like looking her in the eyes. You're talking to her more slowly, seductively. That being said, it's not like the whole interaction has to be like that. That would be weird. That would be kind of creepy. However, the girl needs to know that you have a tail, right? And then even on the date, it's like if it's just this friendly, a whole date's just friendly. Oh yeah, we're friends. Yay, ha ha. There needs to be that element of killer instinct. I have a scorpion tail. I'm looking at you like I want to fuck you. I'm talking in a seductive manner, slower voice tone, flirting, teasing, things like that, right? Because guys will go on these dates, they'll have interactions, and the girl just thinks that it is a friend because you're acting like a gay, you're acting like a homo, which nothing against homosexuals, but if you're meeting girls, that if you're setting the frame up like you're just, "Oh hi, I just wanted to meet you, hi, yeah, let's have a glass of wine together, okay," and then you go to your house, "Oh, let's have another glass," and you go to your house and she just thinks that you're this dickless guy, right? And then you bring her home and then you escalate, you try to kiss her and she's like, "Oh, I didn't know, what's going on?" It's the same story as the frog and the scorpion, right? You just said, "No, I'm just a friend." You didn't necessarily explicitly say that, right? However, implicitly you're communicating that you're just a friend. You're not showing her that killer instinct, that strong frame. I'm the leader. I'm looking at you in the eyes. I'm looking at your body. Not to say that you want to be necessarily like gawking at her or like that can also be, you can push it too far where you're just like in the interaction staring at her tits and she's like, oh, this guy's a creep, or like, you know, checking her up and down too, like within the interaction too much. That's also creepy. However, there needs to be some degree of, you are checking her out a little bit, at least implicitly, you are, looking at her, you are feeling sexual, you are even explicitly communicating some sort of flirtation or, teases, eye contact, leading her around, bouncing her from place to place, and things along those lines, right? And so you don't want to start the interaction as the scorpion who's just tailless, right? So I think this is a very, very important point. And it really goes all the way from the initial interaction, which is when you meet them, on the street or a bar, showing that you have that tail, that scorpion stinging tail, and to when you get them on the date, and to when you're at the house. So you don't have these girls who, you bring them home and they're just surprised that you're asking, oh my God, I didn't expect it. Because you were, you flipped it. You went from the frame of a tailless scorpion to now I have a tail, right? So it has to be present throughout the interaction. This is very, very important. And ultimately, you're going to qualify, you're going to get more girls out who are into it, who are down, right? And then even once you are say you end up closing her, you're in a relationship or she's a reg or what have you, right? Depending on the relationship setup, a girlfriend perhaps. If you still want to live life on your terms, you cannot just suddenly go from the scorpion tail guy to, tailless, right? Oh, well, she told me she wants to go to this festival. She told me she wants to do this. She told me she wants to do that. You always need to be the one leading it, right? And so, these are some very, very important points, right? Another concept I wanted to introduce is something that I talk about in the ebook, the pickupkorea.com ebook, which I do have to mention is on sale this week. It's $59, but if you get it within a week of this podcast, or just put it on sale, it would be only $15. So you're getting it 75% off, and it's hundreds of pages. It covers dating, it covers texting, it covers day game, night game, Korean expressions, culture, pretty much everything A to Z, even some of these frames that I'm talking about, right? And so if you send a request to the email below, you'll get a discount link. So look out for that. Anyways, a topic or a concept that I mentioned in the ebook is the Oppa frame. So in Korean culture, the older guy, the older man, whether it's a friend or an actual family member or a boyfriend, a man who is older is called Oppa. So the Oppa is the leader. He has more life experience. He's the 선배. He's the senior. And women in Korea are feminine. They're traditional in that sense that they're not these, not these women who are like overly trying to be manly, overly trying to be overly feminist and be like a dude. They're still in the traditional gender roles like South America, East Asia. They still have these traditional gender polarities, right? That being said, the Oppa is the older guy, and she looks to him as a source of experience, authority, leadership, right? And so coming into the interaction with this Oppa frame, you're the Oppa, you're the leader, you're the senior, the 선배 in Korean, right? Not senior citizen, but you're the older guy. You have to always maintain that frame, right? Like, you can show her insights about herself that she didn't know. Say she's working a job, she hates it. You can kind of pierce into the veils of, Korean yagun, Korean overtime, corporate culture, sort of getting her to realize that maybe that's not what she wants to do. Or maybe realize that that's what she wants to do until she can reach that next stage, right? It's a temporary sacrifice, right? And so being this sort of source of insight about her world, her goals, her country, her society, her lifestyle, being able to, not necessarily, you don't want to be this guy like you're giving advice. However, you want to be able to pierce into her life, her mind, her culture, right? And that being said as well, be a leader, right? And so you might, the Oppa, anytime you ever see like the Oppa dating with a girl, it's not going to say, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? Um, he's going to be the source of experience, the source of, he understands her work situation. He understands the good places to go for a date. He leads, right? He doesn't supplicate, he leads. Um, he's sort of on his path and brings her along, right? And so this Oppa frame is very, very important. And it is a source of comfort for the girl because she doesn't have to make any decisions. She doesn't have to find a place to go. She doesn't have to lead the conversation. So the onus is always on you. You're the Oppa. You're the leader. You're the one with the experience. You're the captain of the boat. You have to lead the conversation. The responsibility is on you to make it an interesting conversation, on you to find the date venue, you to lead, you to show her insights about herself, you to make it interesting, you to lead, her to follow, right? And so having this Oppa frame is very important. You can perhaps, if you don't live in Korea, or if you do live in Korea, you can kind of go to a cafe, watch the dynamic between an older guy and his, maybe his girlfriend, or like a sunbae and hubei, so like an older company worker, younger company worker, male, female, or like a sunbae hubei of a university, so like the senior and the junior, right? And he's sort of like he's about to graduate. He went through the whole thing. She's maybe second year, so he's like leading. He's showing. He's the source of, experience, and she can put her faith into him, right? And so, if you're in Korea, you can witness this out when you're at cafes, restaurants, and these dynamic social interactions around you. And if you're not in Korea, you can perhaps go on Netflix, watch some Korean dramas, right? Watch some Korean movies, and see how the man acts, see how the man behaves, see how the man leads. And there are, of course, bad examples of this, right? You're gonna have some wimpy guys and some weirdos, but in general, you'll see how the man leads and the woman sort of following him, and puts her, she's able to put her qualms, her worries, her thoughts, and rest them in the Oppa, who gives her a sense of certainty, gives her a sense of assurance, right? Okay, so I just wanted to mention that. And very important that you constantly strengthen your frame you can remind yourself of these sort of frames. You can work to talk a little bit more authoritatively, think of yourself more authoritatively, behave in a more authoritative manner, and meanwhile, of course, adding that sense of sexuality in your subcommunications, your eye contact, your tone of voice, the feeling you have in your body when you're chatting with her, that excitement, that sexual arousal that the girl can intuitively pick up on and feel, as opposed to this sort of gay, dickless, scorpion tailless individual, right? So yeah, these are a little food for thought, and I will leave you here. And if you have any other concepts or any other questions about Korea and Korean culture, Korean game, that you would like me to blog on or do a podcast on, then leave that in the comments, and I will try to cover them in the next episode. Until next time.